DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Founded by the first family of Florida State Coffee and based in Pensacola, Florida, DeLuna Coffee is the driving passion of the Lemmix family. Ed, his wife Courtney, and their son Brett. Their tailgating spot out front of the Unconquered statue is their own slice of paradise. But the real delight is DeLuna's blend of Kona, Maui, Kenya, Colombian, and Brazilian beans that they call their liquid gold brew. In fact, they called it Paradise. Try it or one of their 24 blends and get a discount when you use the promo code WARCHANT15. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. You know the promo code, hopefully by now. We've been saying it for years. Maybe plural, right? Warchant15, the numeral 15. Get you 15% off your order at DeLunaCoffee.com. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube. 5-star rating and review. Speaking of our YouTube channel, Corey Clark, you're usually on Tuesdays, live Seminole Headlines. We will have a live recruiting chat later today, Thursday, 5 p.m. with Michael Langston, giving you the goods on the transfer portal and everything in between. So we back on that. And then next week, Corey and I will do a live show. Maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday, Wednesday. We'll let you know when we do our
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. How are you, Corey?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. And they got I think they got a big recruiting weekend this weekend, right? They're going to have they'll be hosting some official visitors as well. It's not just all about the portal.
Yeah, that's going to lead us to one of our first questions here probably later on in a second here on the Renegade Express. Actually, let me just jump right to it. I mean, you asked it. So I should have been able to go right to it here. Where is it? Aslan. Not a good start, huh, Corey? I'm still, have you gotten into this Wordle puzzle game, Corey? Not to deflect while I try to figure out where this question is, but have you gotten to this? Have you seen this puzzle game called Wordle that's kind of popular with us nerds on Twitter?
I have. I'm great at it.
Really?
Yeah.
You play it?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome,
I showed it to Stephanie last night. She was not a fan of it. She thought it was dumb. But I liked it. I think it's cool. What is it, 4 minutes out of my day, maybe?
I hope less than that. I crushed it on the first guess on Wednesday, brah.
Oh, really?
It's kind of cool, but it's not cool.
Don't tell me.
I'm not going to tell you. It's kind of cool because it's like, I got it right the first time, but it's like it was just a guess, though. There's no intelligence involved in that. It's just pure guess, pure luck.
Yeah, it was exactly pure luck. You just the only intelligence you showed was a 5-letter word.
Hey, there you go. That's right.
That's all you did.
All right, let's try to show our Seminole intelligence. Old Dad's a Nole, skipping a little bit ahead because this would have been a really nice segue had I had it queued up properly. He says, wake up. Someone asked what their favorite memory of you guys having from Doak is. Corey nailed it. Balloons being released, filling the night skies of a Seminole Saturday night.
Killing birds all over the panhandle.
Yeah. I will add that, were you guys aware that they had a Seminole Indian wrestle a real alligator? Talk about how different the world is now versus then. Did they do that? Can you corroborate, Corey?
I could not, but that seems like a awful idea.
Old Dad's and Noel continues. I will also add to it that it's not a Doak thing, but a really good memory is how perfectly acceptable it was to hurl oranges onto the field when a team would secure a berth in what was then an honor to play in the Orange Bowl. Different times for sure. I don't care to discuss the national championship game living in Georgia. I will hear about it enough as it is. My only question is, does the portal being the way it is change your guys' mind on how long it would take to be elite again? I feel it's recruiting on steroids. Cheers to a short offseason, Old Dad. Which that's a segue right there. Because you talked about big recruiting weekend. Because, this is like class of 2023 time now. I'm going to probably get familiar later today on the recruiting chat with Michael about some of the names of kids that are in high schools, maybe some of our upcoming spring tour stops. So they're an important part of it. Clearly, I mean, you have to hit on the high school kids. You cannot simply rely on the portal. But I would not be sitting here after a 3-6 season followed by a 5-7 season thinking that you have a realistic chance of winning 10 football games at the Power 5 level if it was not for this portal. So it absolutely changed. And is that elite? I mean, Alabama's elite. Georgia's elite. But that's like a different stratosphere almost. I like 10 wins. I was never grumpy winning 10 games, I assure you, everybody. So that would make me happy. I don't know if maybe I have a little bit of a lower bar. I don't need to be elite to be happy, but 10 wins would get me there. And yeah, the portal changes it all. But Corey, how much of it is you do have to hit on these 18-year-old kids? You do have to really clean up in the high school and then buttress it with the grown men.
Oh, there you go. That's a good word.
Not 5 letters, though.
Yeah, well, you're right. Good call. Yeah, man. Like, look at the field that they on Monday night. Who was all out there? How many transfers? I know Alabama had a wide receiver, a very good one. Georgia had a cornerback from Clemson, a very good one. But Nakobe Dean didn't transfer from anywhere. Neither did the Jonathan Davis. Neither did Jalen Carter. Neither did Will Anderson or Bryce Young. Like, you still the guts of your program still have to be 2- and 3-year kids that you went and evaluated out of high school, in my opinion.
By the way, you've said Jonathan Davis twice now. It's Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis. Why do I keep? Who's Jonathan Davis?
I think that's the lead singer of Korn.
Oh, of course. You know, did I ever tell you about the time I just followed them on the what was that? The Family Values tour?
Stop it.
Man, it was incredible. What a summer. What a summer. No,
that's
so
a good off-season podcast.
Yeah, that's right. I should do like a 6-week retrospective on my days on the Family Values tour. But yeah, so you got to build from within because look, man, most kids that are in the portal aren't superstars. Because they're happy where they are, right? Nakobe Dean wasn't looking to transfer anywhere. Neither was Jonathan or Jordan Davis. They liked where they were. So I think, again, the guts need to be to get elite, not to get to the Outback Bowl, but to get elite, to play for a championship. I mean, the proof was out there. The proof's been out there the last couple of years. Those teams aren't built out of the portal. The portal accentuates what they already have. You know, like an LSU that's like, I guess we can go get this quarterback from Ohio State. By the way, how about Ohio State fans, huh?
Yeah, right.
They see, I mean, I know they have great receivers anyway, but they see Jameson Williams running around all season, Joe Burrow 2 years before that.
They also stole Justin Fields from you guys, so it's not you guys,
point.
But Georgia.
Good point. Yeah, and that was before the portal, but he got a waiver. They were giving those waivers away anyway, like it was a portal. But yeah, so I don't think you can be elite. I just think the evidence is there. None of these teams are loaded with 12 or 14 transfers. That's not how they build their rosters. But they're also recruiting right now out of a different pond than you are, man. You're not going to win a lot of recruiting battles right now with Alabama and Georgia. So again, you can't play for a championship when you're hitting the portal for 12 or 14 kids every year. That kind of turnover, I don't think. But you can certainly, again, play in the Cheez-It Bowl, the Outback Bowl, even the Peach Bowl. Those are attainable goals with the portal, in my opinion.
How much of it is camaraderie, chemistry, gelling? Because with NIL, Corey, and I agree with your point, your premise here, man. Like, you get 25 signees when it comes to high school kids, and they've added 7 additional, at least, like, I don't know how temporary that's going to be for transfers. Part of your 25 can obviously be transfers as well, but no one's going to go sign 32 transfers. But how much of it is grassroots, like coming together, gelling the chemistry versus, I mean, can you get 12 difference makers in the portal? I know that's a huge number, but that could make you elite because of NIL. I mean, not only the portal, but you also have the NIL. I mean, if you have enough resources, I mean, surely you could bring enough guys to sneak into like an 8-team playoff, which would make you elite. So I think those, don't they kind of go hand in hand? I don't think that's the way to go, but is it possible? I mean, could you be flush with cash, offer enough NIL to get enough guys that are not happy at their current institution, or hey, we can give you more than what you're making right now. All right, I'm out. I got my one free shot. I'll do it.
Sure, theoretically, I think when the dynamics of that though are okay. Say you're say you're Darius Washington, Robert Scott, somebody that you think is going to be really good, or could be good, a competent, good offensive lineman in college football, and then Robert Scott finds out you went and paid this offensive lineman from Wisconsin $250,000 to come. And I'm not saying they did that; they didn't do that.
I hope not. Yeah,
but if you start doing that, how does that affect your locker room, man? Yeah. And then is Robert Scott going to be like, I don't want to play here anymore? Like, I think that kind of stuff can really create a schism, to use a word I never use. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. in a locker room. And that's something that's going to be an unintended consequence of all this is when those, the new lineman from Arizona State shows up in a Corvette. And you've been here for 2 years, and okay, where's my money? I've bled and sweat. I scored 6 touchdowns for you guys last year. Where's my Corvette? Where that kind of stuff. I think it's something. Professional sports. All those guys in those locker rooms, they're pros. They also know how much money the other guy makes. They all know it. So there's no real secrets. There's no secrets kept. Everybody, and by and large, they're all happy for their teammates because they know they deserve that money. That's the market. We have no idea what the market is right now. And, if Jamie Robinson finds out that Sam McCall got a deal for $250,000 and he's got no deal lined up for him, that can create some animosity.
Well said.
So that I think that yes, you could go just throw money at transfers, but then what does that do to your locker room? I do think that's something you have to think about. I'm not saying you wouldn't do it anyway, but that's something you have to think about.
And also, you like to think that there's some romanticism, there's some emotion in college football. Georgia's whole having to deal with Alabama, beating them, and then dealing with the SEC championship loss. But it's all right, we're not taking it anymore. I mean, there's a little bit of pride involved in there. I don't know how much pride you can get when you're a bunch of mercenaries. So, anywho, Seminole life, Lance Harbor, Avatar, solid one. Right. Wake up, boys! I've disappointed him before in my slow turn to embracing, accepting Jordan Travis. I disappointed him a while back. I'm sorry, Seminole life, but I see with my eyes, man. I was wrong.
Well said.
Question for the quarterback room. I am in the group that does not think Jordan Travis is the end-all, be-all for FSU football. Statistically, and his in-game reaction to situations is a bit of a concern for me. I understand the Miami game and the pressure throw there, but they are far and few in between. There have been many quarterbacks in the portal that would have been solid fits for our program. My question to you guys is, do you know if we really have been pressing to add a quarterback? I'm also in the camp of competition, or I'm also in the camp that competition is great and can bring out the best in people. Our current quarterback room is concerning, specifically with Jordan's injury issues. I also agree and do think he has improved and can improve, but I have concerns on his ceiling as an FSU quarterback and the wins he can bring. Next year, the receivers, fingers crossed, or lack thereof will no longer be an excuse. So why not add an able quarterback with Power 5 experience? Go Noles. Well, if you hear our updates of Michael Langston, whenever there's a guy in the transfer portal and we do a video on YouTube, we always kind of try to spin it forward of what's next. Offensive line's a position that Michael brings up. He also does say the quarterback is somewhere that they could go. I think if Michael keeps bringing it up, and we look at it, obviously, too, Corey. I mean, let's just be pragmatic and realistic about it. And I don't really know how much of this is, Jordan's, fragile or Jordan can get hurt. I mean, Jordan does, whenever he gets banged up, he goes back in the game, other than, the Notre Dame game, which I don't know. Was it the helmet? Was he concussed? What was it? Was it cramps? We never know. But they can't go into a season. It's not a knock on Jordan. It's not even so much about his durability. You cannot go into a season where your only depth at quarterback, the most important position, is a redshirt sophomore that has been quite shaky, or actually just, it's been shaky in his limited action, and then a true freshman quarterback. I don't think it's really a knock on Jordan as much as it's, even if it's Bryce Young, Bryce Young's not going to be backed up by some, I shouldn't say that. I don't know Alabama's depth chart, but I would not think even Alabama is just going to be like, we got it all on Bryce and we'll be fine.
I know Alabama just lost one of their backups. He entered the portal.
There we go.
Which is not surprising. Look, in a perfect world, yes, you want a guy to come in here with Power 5 experience and compete for the starting quarterback job. And if he's not there, he's an established backup that you feel good with. It's not a perfect world, though. And you're asking a player to leave a place where I assume he's already a backup, to come be a backup somewhere else, where he has no skin in the game, and the coaches have no skin in him, and he might not ever. He has to learn a new system. He has to beat out a kid that's probably much more athletic than him, that's already started 15 or 16 games, and that's a tough situation to walk into. But yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. The QB room is scary because after Jordan Travis, you got two guys that have accomplished nothing. One who just got on campus, 7 days ago, so. That's not a great backup solution for let's say, injury-prone or bruise-prone quarterback who we don't expect to play 12 games fully healthy. That's just not in the cards. So, yes, and look, man, Jordan Travis isn't an All-American. He's not a Heisman candidate. He was the best option by far in 2020 and 2021. But that, again, that doesn't mean he would be the best option in 2023. A.J. Duffy might be awesome. And maybe halfway through next season, they realize, man, this Duffy kid's the next Pat Mahomes. We need to get him on the field now, and that's it for Jordan Travis. I don't know. I don't think Jordan Travis has done enough to just be absolute, I'm the starting quarterback for the next 2 years. But he's done enough to scare away some dudes in the portal.
Yep, exactly.
That's the issue, that's what you're dealing with. You're not going to go in the portal and promise a kid he can start because there is no promise to be made. Caleb Williams isn't looking at you anyway, and there's nobody out there in the portal from a quarterback perspective that's proven enough that you say, yeah, absolutely, he's going to beat out Jordan Travis. So they have to come in and compete, and that's the game they're playing. But I definitely think they're interested in a quarterback, but I don't think they would be absolutely devastated if they didn't get one. They would just be really nervous. And I doubt the green jersey or the blue jersey or whatever jersey Jordan Travis is going to wear in practice ever comes off until the Duquesne game.
I like this one. This is Island Chief. I like the person, too. Wake up! Portal certainly has redefined the landscape, and Mike Norvell addressed this, as is noted by the additional positions being created. Which, check that story out, by the way, that Ira wrote a week or so ago about the influx of support staff and other positions that Mike Norvell has created at Florida State. But if I'm honest, Island Chief says, though we have benefited from it, I doubt its sustainability. Coach Ham knows what I mean. Maybe we go to the direction of English soccer. Kids can go into the portal, and then the school they have played for gets remuneration for development of the player. Maybe the whole FA model, which is the Football Association in England, is something to consider. I'm not all that familiar with it, but I love where this is going. Other than the NFL and SEC, the whole thing is broken or in danger of breaking. Kids are doing the transfer stuff in high school, travel teams, and earlier to improve their status. Commissioner Clark, what say you and your CEO, Hajavandi? Can we build something that works for all? Real quick, and I'll let you riff on it, Corey, if you want to. This is the thing that I think I saw James B., shout out our guy in Pensacola, posting about, not liking the portal. Like, hey, Aslan, shouldn't you worry about other people and, the little guy. And I'm like, I get it, but, we're Florida State. Like, we are the big fish. Like, we need to eat the smaller fish to get plumper so we can, hang with everybody else. But, when you see Michigan State being successful, and they got that Kenneth Walker kid who's from Wake Forest, let's even use our shoes, man. This Jared Verse kid, let's see what happens with him. What if this kid comes in, has 13 sacks and 22 TFLs? Poor Albany, the University of Albany, they're the ones who took a chance on this kid. They're the one who found him. Shouldn't there be some sort of finder's fee? But then you start talking about these kids as if though they're, commodities. Why should they get the money? Shouldn't it be this kid? I do feel bad for those sort of programs, but we can't make everybody happy. But that would be kind of cool though, right? But then it's we would have to pay Georgia then, right? Georgia would have gotten something from us from what do we negotiate it beforehand? Is it like the NBA or the NFL contracts where if this guy starts 8 games for you, then the 3rd round pick becomes a 2nd round pick? So many things to work out. But
they get to take one player off your roster.
Yeah.
If they're choosing the next year, if Jermaine Johnson hits all of his incentives.
Yeah.
No, what I think will have to happen if this is ever going to be corralled is the schools will have to organize all the NIL money. The schools will have to be associated with it. They'll have to pay it out. They'll have to have the contracts signed, and on those contracts, you sign that as long as the school wants you, and you're getting paid whatever this amount of money is, you don't get to leave the school.
Ooh.
And we'll see how serious you are with the NIL about transferring. Now, look, Albany wouldn't have the machinations in place to the machinery in place to have an NIL deal contract. So Jared Verse wouldn't be breaking any contract. But if you're going to do that, which I'm all for, because I just think it's criminal, man. And not that anybody feels sorry for Oklahoma, but old Lincoln Riley's just going to take the whole team with him. That's gross. That program that you built your reputation on, that program that paid you handsomely and made you a star in that state and loved you, gave you everything you wanted, you bounce for a better job and then take all their good players and all their good recruits. Cool, man. That's awesome. At least Jimbo didn't do that. But I can
couldn't,
promise
though.
you, if he could have, Cam Akers and Marvin Wilson would have been going to College Station, and it's just gross. It's not. I mean, who are you hurting there? You're hurting the team that paid you and made you who you were. But anyway, so I'm all for that. I'm all for the school actually organizing a contract situation with all these players because it's out of the bag now, man. Get the schools involved and let them pay these players through their NIL corporations the money they're going to pay. But in the contracts, they have to sign a non-compete clause for a year. Something to that effect.
I can see all the jokes when the kid doesn't play well. You know, like he really took that non-compete seriously.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But at the same time, you can't do that if the coaches aren't signing similar contracts.
Oh.
Because it's not fair and it's not American. So that's, if I was Commissioner Clark, that's what I would do. I would get all these schools to put on record what all their NIL money is, whether it's $9 million in a bank or $7 million in a bank or $30,000 in a bank. I want to know where it is, and I want all the receipts of where it's going, and all the contracts have non-compete clauses so they can't transfer. And if they don't have that clause, then yeah, they're able to transfer. But at the same time, the coaches have to do the same thing. But why would that ever happen? The next time the presidents get one over on a college football coaching agent will be the first time. Yeah. So that probably won't ever happen, but it should, because it's ridiculous that Lincoln Riley, I don't know that Brian Kelly took a lot of guys from Notre Dame, but I know Lincoln Riley was like, I'm leaving and I'm burning everything down.
Burn the boats.
Good luck, Norman. It's just it's gross, man. I hate that part of it, and that's what's going to happen. These college coaches can move, so why can't the players move? You know, and right now they can, but make it like the real world, man. Like I have a non-compete clause. You do too. Make it like the real world. If you want to go somewhere else for more money, sorry, you should not have signed that contract. You did sign that contract, so you're here unless we release you because you're not any good, and we're probably not going to do that.
I came to work for Gene Williams and Irish O'Fell, man. I mean, that's the Warchant brand, but like, what if I get some new dude that ends up buying Warchant? I don't like working for him. You signed the contract. You stuck it out.
Well, that's different. I think the writing in the contract, and again, this is all hypothetical. It's probably never going to happen, but I wish something like it would. When you sign the contract, there'll be, if there's a coaching
mitigating
change,
language.
Yes, if there's something that happened, mitigating circumstances, then yes, you're free to move. If the two coaches you name on this contract, position coach, head coach, if they leave, but you're not allowed to leave because you're a tight end and the defensive line coach left.
Okay.
That's not how it works. It's got to be somebody associated with you.
I like it. The Walking Knoll 01, good morning to you both. The lulls of the offseason could not contain the excitement I had Monday night, not for Georgia, but simply because I won't have to hear the hooping and hollering of the bandwagon Crimson Tide fans that cover up this good state. Apparently the Walking Knolls from Mississippi but lives in Alabama.
Okay.
But because on Monday night I saw hope in the good linebacking play of both teams, and parenthetically he adds, maybe I'm reaching here, but for some reason I decided to cling to the hope that our new portal acquisition, linebacker Tatum Bethune, could resemble that type of talent for us in this upcoming season. Like I said, maybe I'm putting too much hope into a position group that has given us none. For some reason, though, I'm genuinely excited to see how that group, along with our wide receivers, do this upcoming year. Let's have a great spring. Coach Storms, do your thing. Thank you both for carrying all of us listeners through these next 226 days. Go Noles.
It's a long time. At least we got spring to look forward to, right?
Yeah.
And it'll be an interesting spring. There's going to be a bunch of new faces. There's a new quarterback to look at, so that'll be fun. Yeah. At least we got spring coming up in about 6 weeks, I guess.
Yeah, this was maybe a little bit of a course correction for your guy. Will Anderson, that's just a different cut. Like, I understand. I have diminished over and over again the play of linebacker. I just feel like if you got a good pass rush, you can cover on the back end, you're all right. You can live with subpar linebacking play. But those guys, they're difference makers. Kobe Dean quite literally covers sideline to sideline. It's a joy to watch if you like defensive football. The way they use Will Anderson, he is like an attacking. What all these cool names they give these dudes, Fox, Bandit, whatever cool name they give these guys, like Will Anderson personifies it. Can Amari, maybe he can't, but we'd like to think Amari Gaynor is chiseled out and is athletic enough and physical enough that just make him constantly just pressure, blitz, run blitzes, just pressure whoever's the ball carrier. I would love that. But yeah, we don't have that. But maybe this guy, I don't know, this guy from UCF, at least, if anything, Corey, we're just hoping is just disciplined, fits his gaps, and tackles well and doesn't get lost in the wash of crossing routes and things of that nature.
Well, and has some instincts to him, man. That's such an instinctual position. And I mean, I would just assume a guy that had 109 tackles in 12 games or whatever he did has some instinct to him. So that helps. Just, some guys, it's a cliche, but some guys have a nose for the ball. The good linebackers certainly do, and let's hope he's one of them. He's not Will Anderson or Nakobe Dean, but those guys are top 5 picks. Let's just hope he can be, I don't know, man, Vince Williams. Solid. 9-year career Vince had in the league. Good for him, man. Really, that was really cool to see. He probably made, I don't know, $15 million playing that sport, $20 million. Good for him.
GSO Noel. Wake up! Really enjoyed the show, guys, and how both of you bring your A game for each show. Skin cancer, COVID, tough home remodel, getting up before 9 a.m.
Right.
Nothing slows you two down, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Does he know that we record this in the evenings?
It doesn't matter. You got to get up sometimes to go to practice before 9. Yeah.
I think I'm going to. I keep saying it every year, but I think this is finally the year. Just because I am pretty COVID conscious, and I do like going to the gym, and all you resolution people are pouring back into the gym. So I think I really am. I'm going to start trying to get up, like maybe set that alarm for 7:30ish, so I can get to the gym maybe before 9, so it won't be that crowded.
All right.
We'll see. I'll let you know how it goes. 2 questions. Question 1, it does appear that the staff does well on the recruiting trail, both with high school players and the portal, so the talent is improving, and with it, so should the expectations for results on the field. My man. I hear the call for 10 wins, Aslan, 8 wins, Corey, whatever the number, but do you think with these upgrades and changes elsewhere, we should expect our team to challenge for an ACC championship next season, or is that still a season or 2 down the track? I mean, if you go 9-3 in the regular season, you're probably not winning the Atlantic. Although, I don't know, if you lose to LSU and Florida and it's only 1 loss, you can compete for the Atlantic. And if you win the Atlantic, yeah, man, with Pitt, I'm not scared of Pitt without Kenny Pickett, although they probably seed that spot. I mean, I'll rematch Miami. I'll play, Virginia Tech with a new coaching staff. I'm not scared of anybody in the Coastal. That might be a little even more ambitious than I would go, but yeah, I mean, if I think they're going to win 10 games, if you spread those wins out strategically, you could compete for an ACC championship. Also, we don't really know what Clemson's going to be. We mentioned on the show the other day, they're promoting from within with 2 guys that I don't think have been primary play callers or coordinators, and we'll see how good this Clay Klubnik kid is, but they've got some gaps too, and we haven't seen them go in the portal. So I'm down for Charlotte. I wouldn't. It's not crazy. I'm not talking playoff. That's maybe that's definitely getting ahead of ourselves, ahead of our skis. But I could get down with talking Charlotte.
So let's just say they lose to Wake Forest, like this past year. Like Wake was a loss, automatic loss. They weren't in the game in the second half.
Let's say NC State, so I can correct myself because it's in Raleigh. I did say that there's 3 ACC teams in the 2 early top 25 on ESPN, but all 3 of them have to come to Tallahassee. I was wrong. Thank you, Twitter. NC State, we got to go on the road. We got to go to Raleigh, but then Wake Forest and Clemson are coming to Tallahassee, so continue, Corey.
But my point being, they lost to Clemson. I know they lost by 10, but they really lost by 3.
Yeah.
They lost by 1 score to Louisville. They lost by maybe it was 2 touchdowns to NC State, but it was a game in the 4th quarter without their starting quarterback. So my point being, in reality, if you want to look at it with a glass half full, they weren't that far away this past year.
Yep.
So, yes, they can compete for it. We don't know how good these other teams are going to be. And look, if they were in the Coastal, they might be the favorite, them in Miami.
Yeah.
But they have a hard schedule, man. They play probably the best team in the Coastal. And then the other 3 best teams in the conference are all in the Atlantic with Wake, and NC State, and Clemson. And they're all on Florida State's schedule, plus LSU, plus Florida. It's a hard schedule, at least looking at it here in the middle of January. But yeah, they certainly have the requisite talent to compete for an ACC championship. They have to play big moments well in the fourth quarter. They're going to have to win some close games. They don't have the talent they had in 13 or 2000 or 96 where they just blitz everyone, but they should be in every game, and they're certainly not less talented than Wake,
right.
or even NC State, really. They're not. Like, I think those two teams probably have better quarterbacks, certainly have better passing games than Florida State has shown, but I wouldn't – when you stack up the rosters, one doesn't overwhelm the other ones. So, they're not an easy game. Let's put it that way. Whoever is going to win the ACC, and if they play Florida State, they're probably not going to blow them out. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a tough game.
It was 28-14 NC State in the flu game this past season. Second question from GSO Noel. During the season, you guys discussed culture and the building of it, with Norvell leading that effort with the football program. During those discussions, the basketball team was referenced as to what good winning culture looks like. It was hard to understand what makes up that winning culture, though, meaning what actually goes on. I was thinking it would be great to hear from a player on the basketball team on this topic in depth. So any chance we could get Justin Lindner or others on to do an interview or a series like Trench Talk and give us the insight?
That's not a bad idea. I would say that if you go to our Warchant TV page last March, or maybe it's March, I guess. I know it was 10 months ago, but I had like a 30-minute interview with Wyatt Wilkes before the Sweet 16, and he talked a lot about that. And he's got as good a view as anybody. He's been in the program now for 5 or 6 years. So, yes, we could do that, but it's been talked about a lot, and they talk about it a lot. I think the big thing, man, is when it comes to culture is there's the player accountability. It was brought up. You remember it's not going to be all Georgia all week, but they made a big point of it in the broadcast. Maybe they didn't on the A&M channel you were watching, but Alabama almost scored a touchdown in the first half because Channing Tindall, the linebacker, didn't go with the drag route behind him. The tight end came behind him, and Nakobe Dean, who's awesome, went out of his spot in the zone to go chase the guy that was running the route and ended up deflecting the pass barely. And then he got up and screamed at Tindall. Screamed at him, like clapped in his face like Jalen Ramsey. And Tindall had to push him off, okay, I got it, man. And then on the next play, Tindall had a sack for a 16-yard loss. Now look, it helps also to have Nakobe Dean. Your team, culture works a lot better when you have incredible athletes as leaders. But that's the kind of stuff you're talking about, man. Like this player for Georgia missed his assignment, kind of had a brain freeze or something, didn't know what he was supposed to do, didn't go with the guy that ran behind him on the drag route right in the middle of the end zone, and his teammate had to go cover for him and then screamed at him, like really got in his face. And then on the next play, the kid makes a sack and they're celebrating together. That's, I don't know, that's a great example of culture. Tindall didn't get his feelings hurt. He didn't hit him like the Washington football team guys on the sidelines. It wasn't that, but it was, it cajoled him to go make a play, and then he went and had a sack on the very next play.
Let's go to Mark down in Naples, M. Adam CZ. Wake up! What a couple of weeks in the portal. He said that with an exclamation mark. Sorry, I didn't deliver it. Corey, I agree with your assessment in terms of this signing period not being evaluated purely by the high school recruits, although we still signed a top 12 class after going 5-7. It has to be evaluated based on all factors and transfers who come in and can make an immediate impact. Norvell needs to win now and go into 2022 with an even better roster. It appears we've done that. Somebody on the Tribal Council posted about the complete failure at recruiting receivers in the signing period. I disagree. We obviously targeted Kevin Coleman, but Dion pulled off his quote-unquote magic once again. But do you think this was part of Norvell's master plan? We have so many young receivers already, and only Malik McClain has shown serious potential for 2022. Do you think Mike Norvell's plan was to lay off high school prospects at receiver and hit the portal hard? It's obviously worked. 4 portal receivers committing almost immediately. The receiver room will now look much different with a lot more experience and players who can make an immediate impact and return kicks. Thanks for all you do. Can't wait to see these transfers come and hit 2022 extremely hard. Go Noles. I love Mike Norvell's 3D chess he plays on everybody. Julian, wait. You're gonna wipe the stink off of this bad day we've had. Just wait. And then we're gonna hold off, Ron. We don't need anybody from high school. We're gonna do the portal thing. I love.
I think there could be some validity in that.
Yeah, they're going after most of these guys.
You're going after
Yes.
huge dudes.
Yes.
And you already had one in the boat for. I know he's a DB, but he was going to play wide receiver too. You had one in the boat for a year and a half, and then you're going after another huge 5-star guy. Not huge physically, just a 5-star guy. And if you don't get him, okay, you're just swinging for the fences. But so it would make sense that they just took 2 big swings at the fences. They didn't get it, and they knew they had a really good backup plan for some singles and doubles. Maybe home runs. We'll see. But they knew they had the backup plan with the portal in place. But I guess the counter to that would be, let's see if Ron Dugans has a job in 2 weeks. Because if he doesn't, I think that tells you what Mike Norvell was trying to get accomplished in the recruiting cycle the last 2 years and what actually got accomplished.
Yeah, if they got Devon Mortimer, that's the only true loss they had at receiver because Travis Hunter was probably going to play defensive back mostly, would have dabbled. Kevin Coleman, was a battle, but then they had a commitment from Devon Mortimer who ended up going, I think, to Louisville. So, they were going to get guys in the portal. I don't know how much of what they've done here as a product was planned, but they've obviously reacted and responded very well to those quote-unquote shortcomings, although with Coleman waiting later on past the early signing period, I don't know how much they kind of saw that coming into works. But yeah, if they would have got Mortimer, I can't see them saying no to any of these other guys. They still bring in Micah Pittman. They still bring in Winston Wright. I still think they probably bring in Johnny Wilson as well. So, they got
but the point being, if that was the approach, if Norvell was like, let's take these 2 swings, that's all we're really going for. If we don't get them, no worries, Ron, we got the portal. I would buy that if Dugans is still the coach when spring practice starts.
Okay.
If he's not, then clearly Norvell wasn't happy with something, and that would seem to be the fact that they got shut out at wide receiver in the high school ranks. That would be my, at least my early diagnosis.
NYC_Nole_2 Charlie Ward 92 avatar. Wake up! Health and wealth to you both in this 2022. I posted earlier this week about the quality of transfers that Mike Norvell is obtaining in the portal and what that says about his reputation amongst coaches and athletes that are in the know. The response from Legacy Noles fan, apparently that's a poster on our message board, their name is Legacy Noles fan, they joined in 2015, was really fantastic. It accurately encapsulated how many of us are feeling about this staff. Here's a quote. I don't know where it's from. I'm an artist, and there's a thing I see with really... Oh, maybe that's just him. Maybe he's singing he's an artist. I'm an artist, and there's a thing I see with really good and productive artists that strikes me. There are people who, if you just give them resources and time and keep your hands off, they will produce something great. You can't always throw money at a problem because if you're throwing money at someone who can't effectively leverage it, it's totally wasted. But if you have a brilliant mind and a hard worker, throwing resources at them is exactly what you should do. I think Mike Norvell's smarter than the average bear. I'm hanging on to that more than anything I've seen otherwise. I think just bright. I think that's kind of cool to have. Look at Joe Judge. Woof.
Yeah, jeez Louise. You think about that,
done.
man.
I'm sorry, Corey. I love you.
Okay.
Last year, I was happy to see 5-7 with continued improvement. This year, my expectation will be raised into that 8 to 10 win range with a top 25 ranking at some point during the year. As Corey would say, that's legal. You're allowed to do that. Lastly, your thoughts on getting a premier running back transfer. I feel like with the offensive line improving and the running game we showed last year, we'd be a prime destination for a running back looking to ball out and increase their draft stock. Give the thumbs up, drink your DeLuna, and go Noles. I'll work backwards. Yeah, I'll take a running back, a premier running back. That'd be great. I can live without it, though. I'd rather have a quarterback depth. I'd rather have another offensive lineman. I'd rather have another defensive end, pass rusher. So I'm not all that hard up about getting another running back, but I get everybody. It's part of the mix. And I like I think Norvell's I don't know if he's brilliant. Got to win a national championship before I'll use that kind of word. But he's a smart guy. People like working for him. So
yeah,
that's encouraging.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with all that. I was going to say about Joe Judge, though, like the Giants coach that got fired. Like, how do you run a QB sneak on 3rd and 9 from your own 5 in
He
an
ran
NFL
it on
game.
second down too, didn't he? He did back
Yes.
to back.
So what are you trying to prove there? What are you doing there?
His explanation was he wanted more room to punt, so they didn't have any problems getting the punt off. He wanted some breathing room, and it worked out the way he wanted to because they punted and they got a stop, and they got the ball back.
But you don't do that in the NFL, right?
You don't do that. I mean, other than literally like Pop Warner, I can't imagine. Even in high school, if you did that, they were on the 5-yard line. It wasn't like they were on the half-yard line.
Right. So my point being, that's why he was fired. It was such an embarrassing thing to do. Yeah. Like, your team's terrible anyway. None of those Giants fans are upset you're losing. Really, you're not playing for anything, and you upped your draft stock. You've already done your offense has already been embarrassing anyway. But to do that, and they lost some games awfully too. But to do that to second down and third down in an NFL game with pros with $120 million payroll or whatever it is, to QB sneak it in a 6-0 game in the second quarter, whatever it was, third quarter, from your own 5, is a white flag of incompetence where you
Red
can't.
Flag.
Well, yeah, sure, but he's waving the white flag as if I'm giving up. I've given up on this season. And then, so how could you bring him back? It was such a career crippling move. Like, I think they were probably going to bring him back, but then that was such an embarrassment that they couldn't. Who even cares about strategy when you're 4-12?
Yeah.
We know Jake Fromm is your quarterback, man. Nobody's expecting you to go put up 40 points. But don't even run a draw, run a screen. But the picture of victory formation, literally that's what it was, folks. It wasn't just everybody was out wide and they ran a QB sneak. They had 2 guys behind them.
Yep.
Like in case he fumbled, like they were in victory formation in an NFL game. Of course you're not coming back from that, man. I mean, that was... You would think people would be smart enough to realize how buffoonish that looks. But anyway, just thought I'd share that.
Captain D_63. It's Daryl in Thomasville, North Carolina. Good afternoon, Corey and Aslan. Great talking with you two again. Coach Norvell has established himself as the number 1 recruiter in the transfer portal. Do you think this will help him in the high school ranks in upcoming years? Aslan, I'm with you on the 10-win season. I think it's very possible, so I'm drinking the Kool-Aid again. Sign up for warchant.com, drink the Luna products, hit the thumbs up button, and go Noles.
Yeah, well, look, he's going to become more appealing to high school players and their families and coaches when he starts winning a lot of games. And to win a lot of games right now, it seems like the portal is the best avenue, the only real avenue to do that. So, yes, by way of thinking, I don't know that like a high school kid is like, wow, they got the kid from Albany to come play defensive end. Well, I got to go there now. Yeah. I don't know that happens, but I think if the kid from Albany helps you get to 8 or 9 wins, then the 17, 18-year-old kid from Miami that wants to go win some games in college and is being recruited by everyone might think more about Florida State because he's seen what Norvell has done and the progress he's made over the last 2 or 3 years. That's just I think Norvell is always going to be impressive when you talk to him when he's recruiting you. In his plan, in his big picture plan, his small picture plan for you. I'm sure he's very, very detail oriented, expresses exactly what he sees your future being. But yeah, you're also going to want to go win games, and you're not going to want to be at an afterthought school that might sneak into the El Paso Bowl.
See, I think he's really intense. And I think it plays better to a 21-year-old kid than it does a 17-year-old kid.
I don't know, man. Saban's pretty intense.
I don't think he isn't home though. Like I remember being at these kids camps, and they would huddle afterwards, and Norvell would be in the middle, and I mean, like Norvell had the sternness in his voice as if it was halftime of a 1-possession game against Florida or Miami. You know, I'm almost like, hey, Mike, it's all right, man. This is like physical activity for them. It's daycare. You know, But I admire. We all have our passions and stuff. But hey, he's got a good staff of dudes. People like Alex Atkins and Randy Shannon's got his connection, so we're all good there. Gator 188, it's Gator Kirk. Wake up! Hope you're all doing well. What are the chances that both of you could participate in Tour of Duty for one day? You work out, and Corey wants to work on his fitness this year. It would give us a great perspective. If not, maybe Mike Norvell will let you cover the event. Go Noles. Well, he did in 2020. I'm going to I don't know. I don't want to say assume, but I am assuming it that he's going to open it again. I mean, if the wave goes away by the time they do this, if the spike comes down, I would think that maybe they'll let us. I mean, again, they let us watch practice from Hauser, and when they were inside the IPF, we were in the IPF watching every single practice. I would be very surprised if we weren't allowed to watch one tour of duty. I'm not saying multiple, but at least one of them. I'd be surprised if we're not out there for. Can I go through the entire thing? Probably not. Way too early.
Are you going to compete? Are you going to compete in it?
I would like to, just so I can have a little bit more empathy with what they go through, but I don't want to puke either, so I probably won't.
Well, I was going to say, and there's no way I could come. Maybe if I worked out with the linemen, like the offensive linemen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can't be going as hard as the DBs and wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be expected. I think I could keep up with them. The guys that are 150 pounds more than me, I think I could keep up with them. But, I mean, I don't want to be throwing up near guys in the age of COVID.
Yeah.
You know, just projectile vomiting on people. That's not – nobody's going to like that. Corey just infected the whole offensive line. They're out for the spring. Great. Well, I hope you enjoyed your video, Warchant subscribers. So I don't know that I would do that, but I would love to watch it. It's fun to watch, I guess. Fun to watch other people exert themselves.
It was a guy on a Zaxby's Buffalo wing, and he was eating a new Buffalo garlic glazed boneless wings meal from Zaxby's.
Yeah, I remember the guy, except it wasn't.
Yeah, it was a guy on a Buffalo wing, guy on a BuffaloWing.com.
And don't forget to listen in for the Zaxby's indescribably good Player of the Week every Monday on Wake Up Warchant.
Shout out. Next couple questions are only like 2 sentences. I like it. NYC Nole. Paul Gleason. Flashing the horns. Hey, gents, wake up. It's the new year. What happens first? Nick Saban retires or Florida State makes it to a 4-team playoff? Great work, both of you. Let's make 22 the best we can. Signed, NYC Nole.
Saban's in his 70s, right?
Yeah.
I think
he ain't going away, man.
He can't coach till he's 80. It's not happening.
He can't, no. I think it's like a technicality.
But I also
the 14 playoffs not going to be around that long, right?
Yeah, it's 2 years, so probably, and then it's done. Although, of course, because it's college football, they can't figure out what they're going to do, and they're trying to screw up the expansion talks. But I would say, yeah, it's still going to be Florida State's not going to get into a 14 playoff before Saban retires, but there's only going to be a 14 playoff for a couple more years. The real question is, if they go to a 12-team playoff in 2024, what happens first? Saban retires or Florida State makes that?
Yeah.
And I man, it's something. I think Saban is, whenever they win their next one, might bounce. Might just say, I'm done. I mean, he can't. Was he a coach when he's 88 years old? He sees K. And I also don't think. Well, number one, it would be crazy, but I don't think he will do like a hey, this is my last year. I think he's just going to coach his last game and then announce his retirement. And he might give his AD like a couple weeks head notice. Like, hey, man, just get a list together because start thinking about some things. So I might call it quits after this game. I think that's how it'll happen with Saban. I don't think he'll have a farewell tour like K. That would be a funny farewell tour, by the way. People just booing the bejesus out of him everywhere he goes. You got 7 of our coaches fired. You're the worst thing that's ever happened to this sport. But yes, I guess if I had to pick, I would say Saban retiring.
Yeah, I tell you, I can't pinpoint the time on this, but I had strong dislike for Nick Saban. Strong dislike. I like the hell out of him, man. He's like vaulted himself into that whole, like, hey, if you could have 4 people, you have dinner with any 4 people in the world, who would it be? Like, Nick Saban's in that. It is amazing. It is amazing what he's done there. I am so envious, jealous, hurtful. Like, why can that be us? But then, hey, at least we're not LSU fans. I mean, imagine if we were LSU fans watching this all transpire before us. They're going to keep winning. And they're going to win next year probably. They're already odds-on favorite to win next year. So,
who, Alabama?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, they got the best 2 players in the country. They're both sophomores. They're coming back. Yeah. They get the best offensive player and the best defensive player. Plus, I'm pretty sure their roster's loaded with other pretty talented kids. And it was good to see, like, hey, they got their 2 wide receivers out. I wonder if Alabama has any talent behind them. Oh, yeah, they do. Look at that.
Yeah.
84 looks pretty good. Where'd he come from? So he's going to be their next big thing. I know he dropped. The best pass of the whole game was that one where 84 dropped it right at, like, the pylon.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe Bryce Young made that throw. That was an incredible throw. But I wanted to say, so if you guys go watch that, and I'll admit it, I've watched it maybe 5, 10, 20 times, the pick six to wrap up the game. Go watch what 84 does to Georgia's number 47 at about the 5-yard line. And 84 is a freshman, and he just has he knew he wasn't going to catch Ringo for the touchdown, so he just wanted to have some destruction before the play was over. And he in 47 for Georgia is a kid named Jackson, who I think he was either a low recruit or a walk-on that ended up starting a lot of games at safety. Good player, but that was not a good moment for him. And I feel bad for him because it's an all-time Georgia moment. It's probably maybe the most famous play in Georgia football history, one of the top 5 because it sealed a championship. So they're going to show it 1,000 times in his life, 2,000 times. And every time they show it, they're going to see him get knocked off the screen by this angry freshman with a 50-yard head start. It was, so if you guys go watch that, so that kid's a freshman. The kid that he's really fast, really good, and he's got a little violent what for to him, too. So I'm sure he's going to be their next superstar. So, yeah, Alabama's going to be good again, Aslan. That's how it's set up.
Birds of Knoll. Let's see if we can make a little tempo here. We got a lot.
Come on, let's go.
Ira Brofell. I love that name. Birds the Knoll. What's up, my guys? Wake up. Nice to not have the Gumps winning another natty.
Right.
I think Georgia deserved it. It's only been 4 decades. What losers?
Right. Yeah, correct.
This leads me to my one and only question. How was your day, guys? Good? I hope so. Adios. See you next week.
Nice. Well said. Well said. On to the next one.
Ira Brofell. This is a hypothetical, but I think it could be a real possibility given the era of NIL and transfer portal that we are entering into. If we are approaching fall and still have more than 85 scholarship players, is there a chance there is a payoff to leave?
Oh.
Ooh, I'm assuming some of these guys were basically told in exit interviews to enter the transfer portal. Apparently, they even told Stetson Bennett, like, hey, man, last year, like, we got Jamie Newman, we have JT Daniels. Like, it's not going to happen. And he still stayed. He didn't get the memo. What happens if a guy just likes being a college football player at FSU and doesn't mind being buried on the depth chart? I don't want to say a player's name, but there's a player on this team that's kind of probably in that situation right now, and haven't seen him put his name in the portal. And it's clear that he's not playing anytime soon. And so maybe you can be like, all right, whatever, man. Like, you kick me off then. I mean, I don't know how that works. I mean, I know scholarships are on a year-to-year basis. As long as that kid as long as he's not in year 5, I think they'll honor it. But yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure that's true, by the way, either. I think they are tentatively 4-year contracts now.
Okay.
I do think they changed that, but they're broken all the time, like we talked about. You know, the people, they're not worth the paper they're signed on. Yeah, I don't know. You couldn't pay. I don't think you'd pay someone to. Well, maybe you would, but that seems like a waste of money to be paying someone. You're already doing that with a head coach. I don't think you need to go pay maybe a 3rd-string quarterback to not be on your team. I mean, that's crazy. What a world.
That's incredible. I love it.
But yeah, there are conversations like that, but you can't do that. You can't force kids off your team because they didn't live up to what you thought they were going to be. Because number one, it's just not a nice thing to do. Let's just be honest. I mean, I know we're all trying to win games here, but it's kind of a crappy, unnice thing to do, to be articulate with it. But also, word gets back, especially if maybe one of those players has a dad who's a coach. But word gets into coaching circles all over the state and all over the Southeast that these guys will cut you if you don't pan out as quickly as they want you to. And that is not a stigma you want associated with you. So you're always, almost always, unless something happens off the field, if they're making their grades and they're not a distraction, you are almost always going to honor that scholarship.
Well said, Corey. C_Swizzle8. Wake up! I'm quite parched. No more wake-ups, hopefully, in the rest of these questions. Hope you two gentlemen had a great New Year's. I did nothing. But so far, so good. The year's going well. Thank you. If you have the power to fill in and schedule the rest of our games that are TBD, to be decided, with the games that are already scheduled and in place, what would the schedule look like for each of you? With that said, would there be one bye or two since we play a week 0 game? Ooh, I didn't even think about that. 2 then, I guess? All right, so Duquesne's in place. So Duquesne, LSU are locked in. And then the last 2 games are locked in, Louisiana and Florida.
So he's asking how we'd organize
our ACC schedule.
ACC games?
Yeah. I don't even know who's our – I should pull that up. I don't even know who are rotating.
Georgia Tech, I think. I think it's Georgia Tech next year. It's Georgia Tech and Miami.
I mean, make them game number 3 then, I'm thinking, right? I want Georgia Tech probably.
Yeah, Georgia Tech or probably Georgia Tech.
All right, I got it here. I got it all here in front of me. It is Georgia Tech. I would take Georgia Tech. That's at Doak. These all say Doak. Most of them say Doak Campbell. No, they don't. Actually, I take it back. I don't know. Do we want to go? No, we'll take Georgia Tech at home. Week 3, Georgia Tech at home. Then we'll go at Syracuse.
Okay.
Then we'll come back home and play Boston College.
All right.
And
so
then
you're hoping at that point maybe you're 4-1 is what you're hoping for.
Okay. And then we'll play Wake and then take a week off.
Okay.
And then we'll play at Louisville, home versus Clemson.
At Miami?
Oh,
that's
gosh.
Tough.
Bye week. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. When you look at this, I don't know. That's tough. So there you go, Corey. I don't know if you want to write it down. It's hard. I got it in front of my face. But you got BC, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Wake, Louisville, Miami, NC State, Syracuse.
I would try to separate at Miami, Clemson, and at NC State as much as possible, either with bye weeks or games in between.
Yeah.
That's my only real opinion on that. That's how I would do it.
Okay, I like it.
You don't want to play. You don't want to be at NC State, Clemson, back to back, or Clemson at Miami back to back. That's how losing streaks start.
Yeah. Well said. I like that. Good question, C Swizzle. I know we didn't really talk about it well. It's a podcast. It's tough, but I'd like to sketch it up. Maybe Corey and I will sketch it up and we'll tweet it or something, which means maybe I'll do it. Spartan Noles 71. Love you, Corey. Aloha, guys. How's it? He's still here, everybody. It's Ralph in Hawaii.
Go, Ralph. Good to hear from you, buddy.
Corey, in regards to a call-out for Jared Verse, how about when he sacks the quarterback, you convince Gene to say that, insert team name here, your offense is on reverse.
Oh, okay, Ralph. I see what's going on. He put them in reverse. Okay, like French tanks. They only know they can only go backwards. Yeah, man, that's
Did you not see the DM? This came from somebody named Jokes. It's like Doke with the J.
Oh, I didn't know.
They've never posted ever. They DM'd you and I. Was listening to the podcast on Monday morning. How about putting opposing defenses in reverse?
Offenses.
Yeah. Offenses, I'm sorry. It's from Julie. Her name is Julie. Keep up the good
that's
work.
Great. So great minds, Julie and Ralph. It's crazy. I didn't think of that, but I'm not as great a mind as these guys are. Yeah, I like that. I don't know that we can beat that. Guys, keep trying, but putting an offense in reverse, come on, man. That's going to be a game day sign.
It is.
Did you see one of the signs before the championship game?
Said that the number one dating site in Alabama is Ancestry.com.
Ancestry.com. That's funny. And I always say that, man, I grew up in Georgia, so we got all those jokes too. And I did date my sister for a while.
Oh, stop it.
It didn't work out. Sorry. It's getting late.
On a serious note, Miss Ingrid and I are off to a great start to the new year. Hope you all are too. Just waiting to take the Langstons out to dinner when they're here on holiday. Yeah.
Oh, is Langston going out to Hawaii?
Yeah, Michael's wife's from the little island, or the big island. She's from Hawaii, so yeah, they're going to go out there. Wishing everyone out there a blessed beginning to a new season of hope and promise. Your friend, Ralph in Hawaii. Thank you, Ralph. Hope us all. Obviously, everything's going well. I'm glad to hear that. Might need some new sundries from Hawaii, but I'll pay you for it this time. Don't spend all your money on me. All right, got 2 more, Corey. We kind of made it. This is probably going to be our last show for the week, so we'll go a little bit longer. You can spread it out, everybody, for your Thursday.
I like reverse though. That's been the highlight of the show so far. I think
Absolutely.
We got something. I got something to tweet now.
Delicious _ crab. Howdy, boys. The portal era has been a major shift in college football, and FSU has greatly benefited from it. Can you imagine how bad our team would be right now without the portal?
Yeah, bad. Really bad.
Overall, do you think the portal has been better or worse for parity? If you're an FCS or lower tier FBS program, your best players are getting poached. But if you're a top tier program, you bleed your second and third string players to schools where they can start. Side note, the reason we stop releasing balloons at Doak and Disney is that it kills marine life, especially endangered sea turtles. Think of it as time-delayed littering that happens to look like a delicious squid when it lands in the water.
I tell you what, man, turtles are having it rough out there, huh? The straws.
They're awesome. Turtles should
Oh, I know. Nobody wants to kill a turtle, but, man, it's like adapt. It's 2022. Quit making us change the way we live, turtles. Adapt. Don't eat balloons anymore. Our straws. Man, paper straws are the worst.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, they're really hard. They disintegrate. You end up chewing them. They come apart in your mouth. They're just the worst. But, hey, I'm willing to do it for the turtles. You guys know that. What was the question?
Is it better or worse for parity?
I think it's better. Look, man, there's never been more parity. I know that's a weird thing to say when it comes to what's happening in Alabama, but I don't even include them. Like, throw them away. Throw them into the sun. They don't count. And maybe take Georgia, too. But from 3 to 40? I think all those teams can beat each other on a given day. I don't know that was the case in 1990 or 1999. I don't know that number 38 on could hang around and beat number 3 and then hang around and beat or lose in overtime to number 9 back then. But that's the reality now, man. Again, Alabama just finished second in the country. They almost lost to that Florida team.
Yep.
You know, they almost lost to
Auburn.
LSU. They should have lost to Auburn if the kid doesn't run out of bounds. They'd have lost to Auburn, and Auburn wasn't very good. Yeah. They almost lost to LSU. And LSU wasn't very good. Horrible. So, yeah, I do think the parity is it's hard to see it because it feels like it's the same 4 teams, and it is really same 4 to 6 teams that are in the conversation. But below them, I would say the parity is more than it's ever been. Like right below the tippy top, the parity in college football is more than it's ever been. That's how a team like Florida State could go 5-7 and be pretty darn close to being 9-3 if some things shake out, or pretty darn close to being 2-10. I think that's the reality for most teams, right? Like, I don't know what Miami's record ended up being, but, you know, they won a couple of games late. They lost a couple of games late, including on a botched 30-yard field goal and then a botched 4th and 14 defense. I don't know if you remember that, Aslan. Yeah. It actually happened at Doak. Yeah. So, yeah, I do. I don't know I don't know that we can say the portal. Yeah, in fact, we can't. There's no way we can say the portal has caused that parity. But I'm just saying right now I think their parity is more than it's ever been, or as much parity as there's ever been, below Alabama. But do you think the portal helps it? I think it probably does. Like, look, Alabama just had 5 guys leave. The day after the championship game, they had 5 guys enter the portal. Instead of hoarding all of them, they're spreading out some of the love. Some of the slappy 4.5 stars that can't make their roster, can't make their starting 22, they can go be stars somewhere else. So I do think that. I do think it will end up creating even more parity in college football. It's the reason that Florida State was competitive this year.
Yeah. I know. I try to have empathy, but then, and I do have empathy in my life, I assure you all, but sometimes it does not extend to college football. I don't know how many Albany Great Dane fans are really heartbroken about Jared Verse leaving, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how many season ticket holders are like, cancel it. I'm done with this program. Like, I feel bad for, you know, Dave Clawson, like at Wake Forest. Like, I mean, the only way Wake Forest wins, they need a confluence of things to happen, right? They need everybody around them to kind of take a step back. They need their guys to kind of play above their heads. Some of their sleeper guys to develop and then all kind of develop together to where your super seniors, all these things need to kind of come together for a team like Wake Forest to do well. And I don't know, I mean, if they have Kenneth Walker, they just lost the Beal Smith kid or whatever running back they had this past season. He put his name to the portal. I don't know, man. Like Wake, I don't know. Maybe Wake could have been like a sneaky playoff team if they would have had Kenneth Walker. Like maybe they wouldn't have lost. They did lose to Clemson, right? I I think they
Maybe.
lost to Clemson.
Yeah.
Should know this. But it just,
hard to remember.
They could be a player away from having, I don't know, not run the table, but maybe only having a one-loss season and sort of finagling their way into it. And, like, they don't get that. But, again, it's a school
and I also
that's got, like,
think
6,000 kids, and do they really care about football? So
not really, but I do. I can tell you they don't. But I've been in that stadium multiple times. It's just like it's a picnic. But the playoff will also create more parity too. You're going to have, like this year, Wake and Pitt would have been playing for a playoff spot, and that does create more interest. And it just, look, again, who the top is, but everybody else from 3 to 30 are right there, all jumbled together. A lot like basketball now, right?
yeah, good
If
point.
except basketball, everybody can beat everybody almost, and it seems like it's getting that way in college football, except for Saban. It seems like it's getting that way where everybody can beat everybody. And look, man, Georgia was dominant this year. That is not happening again. They are not going to have an all-time freakazoid defense. It's just not. That's not something that's going to keep happening. This was a perfect storm of guys coming back and incredible recruiting hits and 5-star dudes joining other 5-star dudes and making this defense as juniors and seniors. Most of those guys are leaving. A lot of the front seven is leaving. So that's I don't think that will happen again. And it's a lot of parity, which is good for the sport.
We made it. Last one. S. Quinn 67. Wake up! Best wishes to you, Aslan. Congrats to your alma mater, Corey. The UGA fans finally have a program that lives up to their beliefs about their program.
Exactly. Well said.
Although I hate the thought of Alabama winning all the time, I am not happy that we added a new program to the recent national championship list. Whenever people would talk smack about FSU, I would commonly retort with, name the last 5 teams that won a national championship. And if their team wasn't on the list, well, hey, not going to work. And now this won't work anymore. I guess I'll have to fall back on Blackbird's response, which is, yeah, we've struggled a bit since we won our 3rd national championship.
Right.
I like that.
Smart. Yeah.
My question for the week, actually, let me do the PS first. PS, the balloons being released was a great memory. I was a kid in the late 70s and remember that vividly. The sky was filled with garnet and gold. I remember the first game I went to when there was no balloons. It was a shocker. Bring it back.
Blame
Corey.
the Turtles.
All right, my question for the week. Our last question of the week. If you had to name the Mount Rushmore of FSU football assistant coaches, who would be your 4? I don't know what I was looking for there. Who would be your 4? You cannot name Jimbo or Bobby.
Oh.
All right, so Mickey, Odell.
Yeah, see, here's the thing, though. Like, Bill Parcells was an assistant. So was Don James.
yeah.
Joe
Avizano.
So, like, do they count? Because they were there for Bill Peterson, but they didn't win any. I mean, they were a good program back then, but they didn't win championships. So, and they weren't there for very long. So, we talking about who accomplished the most at Florida State as an assistant coach?
Well, then it's like, but you say who's the best offensive lineman that's ever played at Florida State? Like, well, Walter Jones only played 1 year, so.
Well, yeah, but it's like, you got to throw Parcells on there for sure.
I know. It's we should play it up a lot, but then at the same time, though, it's like, man, he was here 1 year back in the 70s, and what was his impact? I mean, Walter Jones only played 1 year, but his impact was, pretty solid too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll say Mickey, Odell. I mean, Billy Sexton was here a long time. I don't know. I just think everyone always talked about how good Jim Gladden was and how bad the defense was. Chuck's got to be on there. Chuck Amato.
Okay, I was going to say Brad Scott.
Okay.
He was there at the start of the dynasty. He was
Richt.
the OC
I'm
and
done.
the O-line coach.
I'm sorry. Mickey, Odell, Richt, and who was the one that I was so excited about naming? I totally forgot 10 seconds ago.
Chuck Amato.
Chuck Amato. I'm done. There we go. Boom, done.
Okay, I think I would take Brad Scott over Chuck Amato. I think that's the only difference I'd have with you. Well, and don't forget what Jeff Bowden did at receiver for a decade, man. You talking about Peter Warwick, Lavernius Coles, Dugans. I mean, Dugans learned from the best. He might have coached Dawsey, Anquan Bolden. Are you kidding me?
Would you
Look
put
at the
Jeremy?
track record.
Would you put Jeremy Pruitt ahead of Chuck Amato?
No. No, because Chuck Amato did a lot of. I think Chuck ran the mat drills.
He did.
Yeah, he was pretty synonymous. He was the assistant coach guy, and you need guys like that when you have a head coach like Bobby Bowden. You need a big barrel-chested, can barely understand what he's saying, defensive line assistant coach too that can get some stuff done. So yeah, Florida State was blessed, man, to have that recruiting or to have that coaching staff they had under Bowden for as long as they had it.
So do you put Brad Scott ahead of Mark Richt?
I mean, Brad was the OC for 93, and then Richt was the OC for 99. Brad was the one that kind of, it seems like him and Richt both, they worked together, but they kind of talked Bowden into like, hey, why don't we just back up number 17 into the shotgun the whole time? And let's see what that looks like. I think they tied. I think they tie.
That's not how it works on Mount Rushmore.
Okay, then I'll just go Brad Scott just because he was there. He was the OC back when the dynasty was getting started. And just he holds a special place. Plus, he's more in the St. Bobby and the Barbarians, that book from the '91 season. Yeah. He's featured prominently in that. So always a special place in my heart. By the way, before we go, I went down a rabbit hole last night. I was trying to find all the clips of, you know how it is now at a sporting event where everybody films themselves watching a game.
Yeah.
Or films themselves at the game. And I was looking for like Georgia reaction videos because those things always, they get, like the one where Landon Donovan that scored the goal in the World Cup?
Yes.
And they had all those images from all over the country. Uh-huh. That stuff swells you up, man.
Yeah, man.
And gets you all teary-eyed. So I was trying to find some Georgia ones, and I found a couple. The ones I found were all from the actual stadium. And as soon as he picks it off, all you see is the top of the dome and people screaming. So you're not really watching anything. But so I went down a rabbit hole, and I found the Florida State ones from 2013.
Yeah.
That stuff's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Everybody go do yourself a favor and type in like FSU fans react Auburn or FSU fans react 2013 championship. Because it's cool, man. You get to see people at bars, people in their homes, people in the stadium, and their reaction to like Kermit's touchdown and then obviously the final one. And then tying it all back together, Aslan, not really. I went down a rabbit hole and started watching all these Game of Thrones reactions videos. I didn't realize people like rented out bars. Like big bars showed Game of Thrones every Sunday night. So the episode, spoiler alert, if you're going through it right now, turn it off. Don't listen to the next 20 seconds.
I think it's a Photoshop of the reaction of Arya Stark doing something really important.
No, there are real ones. I know what you're talking about. There are real ones, though, of Arya coming from behind and people recording themselves on the couch, which is just such a weird instinct. It's like, you know what people want to see is my reaction watching Game of Thrones. But there's also all these other ones set up at bars. Not that crazy bar shot where all the beer goes flying. But so I went down a rabbit hole of that. And then I just realized they were like, oh, it's 3 a.m. and I'm watching people in England at a pub watching Game of Thrones, watching a fake. And what was cool, though, was like they're not any dorkier. And I'm a Game of Thrones fan, and they were at a bar to celebrate and watch this battle with the Night King. Are they really any dorkier than the people wearing the 34 jerseys at a bar celebrating an interception by a 20-year-old? Like we all got to find joy in our lives, right?
We do.
And it's fun that they have the Game of Thrones people, and there are people crying, there are people pumping fists at a TV show, and I'm like, yeah, man, we all just got to find what we like and go find people that like what we like, and we can go live in peace and happiness. That's how I wanted to end the week, Aslan.
I love it. He's Corey Clark. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. Don't forget, live recruiting chat with Michael Langston Thursday, 5 p.m. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.